Hey everybody! A lot of people are recovering from all the crap they ate. Thanksgiving dinner, um, and I wanted to talk about something that I think a lot of us in this game are very confused by. It's why are steroids illegal when so many other things are legal? Because the knee-jerk reaction, if you ask anybody, why do you think steroids are illegal? They're dangerous. There's a lot of things that are dangerous that are legal. Alcohol and tobacco are two things that we always talk about because alcohol. I did a little bit of research. Alcohol kills almost 90,000 United States every year, which I thought that sounds really low to me. I thought it would have been a lot more. Uh, what's this? Good to go. Okay, we're back to portrait mode. Not why. Okay, I'm trying to get this not to look so nasty looking. Anyway, like I said, alcohol kills almost 90,000 people a year. Tobacco, 480,000 people a year. Now, I can go in the store right now, I can buy gallons and gallons of alcohol and drink myself to death today. I could do that if I wanted to. I can go and buy cigarettes. Well, they're very expensive, of course, but I could smoke, uh, geez, as much as I wanted to. I could smoke two, three, four, 5 packs a day. I could give myself lung cancer if I want to go and buy steroids legally without a prescription, or even with a prescription. There's TRT, which will give you, the medical amount through a doctor. That's going to be something like 200 milligrams a week, 200 milligrams a week. That a doctor can prescribe you if you're found to have low testosterone, which most men over the age of 40 or 45 will have low testosterone. But I can't go buy Deca, I can't buy Winstrol, I can't buy all those things because, like I said, danger is a relative thing, and we have all these other things that are dangerous that are perfectly legal to buy and consume. Alcohol and tobacco being the main ones, but I mean prescription drugs. I did a little looking into that. 128,000 people in the United States. 128,000 people in the United States every year die as a result of taking prescription drugs taken as directed. That means they're actually following the directions on the bottle and they still died from whatever reasons. So that doesn't even include the amount of people who were prescribed incorrectly, they overdosed, or they were self medicating. So this is all legal prescriptions I'm talking about. I'm talking about like heroin or black market OxyContin, anything like that. So that's almost 2,500 Americans every week die from taking prescription drugs that were legally prescribed to them. And that's perfectly legal because who's making money? Big pharma's making money. Doctors are making money. No one's making money off steroids. I'm guessing there isn't enough profit potential in steroids to justify putting it in the same category. But I personally don't see steroids as being overly dangerous, more so than these other things that are legal that you can get no problem. And let's look at some other things that are also legal that women use, mostly women. A lot of men these days are cosmetic surgery and these things. But so if you're a woman and you don't like the way your face looks or your body looks, there are a lot of options for you. It's a multi billion-dollar industry. You could get breast implants. You can, if your breasts aren't as big as you'd like or as perky as you like or whatever. If you don't like your breasts and you're a woman, you can absolutely go to a surgeon, give them a few $1,000 and get fake breasts put in your chest, and that's fine. Obviously, there are complications with any surgeries. People die in anesthesia. And Kanye West's mother died 24 hours after getting liposuction. So yeah, if you're an older woman and you have a couple wrinkles, you don't like that, you shoot Botox in there every 6 months or so. If you're starting to die because you're older, you get cheek fillers, you get fillers, different places. You see them getting jaw implants. If you're fat and you don't want to exercise and diet to get rid of it, you can get liposuction. You can get lap band surgery. Uh, if your lips are too thin, you want them poofier. You want some big puffy lips, you can get lip injections. If your hair isn't the way you like it, you can get hair extensions, get fake eyelashes. If you have nasty belly area with fat and loose skin in your woman, she loose skin, get a tummy tuck. That's a surgery where you're gonna have to go under anesthesia and complications. You get infections. Butt implants. It's a newer phenomenon. If you're someone that's not happy with your butt, your glutes, you can get some fake ones popped right in there. There's also a Brazilian butt lift, which is a less procedure. So these things are all legal. And another thing is they're not considered. Yeah, in Canada, definitely legal for Canada. Same with the UK. Steroids are also legal to use in the UK and Canada for personal use. So another reason why you'll hear steroids are illegal in the US is because they're cheating. That's an interesting term because if you're not competing in some sporting event where you're supposed to be drug free and it's cheating if you use drugs, such as the Olympics, or let's say there are drug free organizations for bodybuilding and fitness and all that. They test the bodybuilders, I believe, usually only. So if you're using steroids, you're competing in the Olympics or you're competing in one of these natural competitions, yes, you're a cheater. Otherwise, who are you cheating? Who am I cheating by using steroids? I could make the argument that these women are cheating because that's not their real boobs. That's not their real face. Their real face has wrinkles and it drops and your lips are in. This is not what I'm looking at is not the real you. So you're cheating. Those aren't your boobs. That's not your butt. You had say a person's massively overweight and they get liposuction and surgery, lap band surgery, because they didn't want to exercise and diet because it's too hard. It's a lot of effort. Well, that's cheating, right? No, it's not. I guess that's not cheating. Why? Because it's demand, supply and demand. There's a ton of people out there who are overweight, and rather than go through all the time and effort and trouble to try to lose that weight on their own, they go a surgical route, whether it be liposuction or gastric bypass or lap band surgery. These things are all perfectly legal and they're not looked down upon by society at all. It's crazy. But if you're a man, say you're a 30-year-old professional, you're making a nice six-figure income, you pay your taxes, you obey the law, you drive at the speed limit most of the time, you get your car registered, you do all the things you're supposed to do. But if you want to go buy steroids, you can't do it legally. You have to either go through something on the internet, which is always kind of risky because you're getting stuff in the mail. It's never a completely safe option, especially if you're getting it from overseas. Now it's got to go through customs. You're always taking a chance with that you could get one of those custom seizure letters, or you can get a controlled delivery. It's not an option for you. There are life extension clinics, anti-aging clinics now. It's kind of a gray area, and I think they are getting shut down here and there, and maybe eventually they're all going to get shut down because they are prescribing steroids in amounts that no legitimate doctor would prescribe for TRT. Like I said, TRT, if you have low testosterone and it's your doctor finds that there's a legitimate need for it, you can be prescribed testosterone replacement therapy, but it will be only enough, as confirmed by blood work, to keep you in a high normal range. Typically, that's going to be somewhere between 100 and 200 milligrams of testosterone a week. Usually they go recipient, but they're not going to give you 500 milligrams of test, 1,000 milligrams of test, plus DECA, plus equipoise isn't even a human drug. Trenbolone is not a drug that's made for human consumption anymore. It was Parabolin, the old French one was many years ago. So these places, that a lot of them are in Florida, places like Arizona, Palm Springs, California, where there are larger aging populations. So that's where you'll find a lot of these anti-aging and life extension clinics. But for the most part, legally in the United States, you cannot legally get the steroids you want. Now, I understand there would be serious complications with this because let's say we make steroids legal with a prescription, as they were back in the days of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold said he did use steroids, but he's very clear to point out he did not break any laws because back then doctors could prescribe steroids to you. And in those days, steroid use was pretty rare. There weren't a lot of recreational bodybuilders or just people that like to lift and get big and look good, steroids. Back in those days, it was primarily competitive athletes at a very high amateur level, professional level, that were using performance enhancing drugs. The average person was not aware of steroids or, interested in them because it wasn't something people talked about. It wasn't the news. Steroids didn't become a really big deal in America, at least until the Seoul Olympics, 1988, when Ben Johnson got busted. And that's when people started to really learn a lot more about steroids, what they are, what they do, as far as improving performance and improving, especially the bodybuilding world brought to the forefront that steroids can drastically improve your appearance. They can help you add more muscle mass than you would naturally, certainly help you add it faster than you would naturally. Um, they can help you burn fat, although there are other drugs that are much more effective for burning fat. Things like clenbuterol, thyroid meds. Uh, I don't even want to talk about DNP, but a lot of people these days do use DNP. So it was actually that whole scandal of that Olympics that people started to make people curious about what are these things, steroids. And that's when a lot of guys, the 80s, I'd say 80s and 90s, is when a lot of more average men started being curious about steroids and saying, I go to the gym and I work out, but I'd like to look better. I'd like to get better results for the time I'm putting in to this training and this exercise. So that's when it became more common as the years went by for recreational steroid users to be a thing. I'd say now, if I had to estimate, I haven't seen any, but I would guess at least 75% of all the people in the United States using steroids, they're not competitive athletes at all. They're not professional athletes. They're not amateur athletes. They're just mostly men who go to the gym, want to look good, want to feel good, want to have that increased sense of well-being, higher sex drive, better sexual performance, look and feel better. And steroids can do that. Yeah, steroids can absolutely be dangerous. I do a weekly show with Dr. Thomas O'Connor every week called Ask the Anabolic Doc. And a lot of what we talk about are the dangers of steroids, which mainly to the heart, other organs like the kidneys can be affected, but mainly long-term use is going to be dangerous to your heart because of arteriosclerosis, calcium buildup in the arteries, things like that, high blood pressure, obviously. But if steroids were legal with a prescription, and like I said, I don't know how this would work because how much would they let you use? Is it gonna be up to the discretion of the doctor? Would the government, would somebody set a limit on this is how you can't get this much more than this amount prescribed to you per week or per month, or because right now people are doing it through the black market, and they're taking whatever amounts they want to take. The biggest problem with the black market is that you don't know what you're getting. There is William Llewellyn sells a roid test kit that will tell you what you have. So if you test out a bottle, put a few drops of what's supposed to be testosterone cypionate or whatever, it'll tell you, yes, this is testosterone cypionate, or no, it's not. There's nothing in there. It's vegetable oil or something. Or I thought this was Primabol, and then you test it and you find out it's test. You can do that with the roid test kit, but it doesn't tell you the amounts. So say I buy a bottle off the black market of testosterone, it says 300 milligrams per milliliter. I don't know if it really is. If I had access to a lab, I could take it, and most people don't. I don't, believe it or not. And I don't know if that bottle is 300 milligrams in every milliliter. Maybe it's only 200. Maybe it's 150. Maybe it's 100. Maybe it's 50. Who knows? You can go by how you feel after a few weeks on it, but that's a pretty tough way to have to do it. If steroids were legal with a prescription, we would be getting them from the pharmacy. Probably cost more because big pharma likes to crank up the prices, of course. But you would know for sure you're getting pure drug with nothing in it that's not supposed to be there, no bacteria, no heavy metals, nothing in there. It's not supposed to be in there, which unfortunately a lot of this black market underground stuff we use, it's dirty, guys. There's all every you've never gotten an infection. You're a steroid user. You know someone who has. Trust it. It's that common. Abscesses and infections, very, very common because bacteria, these things, they're not made by legitimate laboratories, legitimate, billion-dollar laboratories. They're made by somebody in their house somewhere. Maybe some of them have access to a real lab, but you never know what you're going to get. You don't know if it's potent. You don't know if it's clean. And, it's tough. Um, said, it's putting steroid users in a very bad spot. And I do think steroid users, if they were getting it legally through a doctor's prescription, they would also be able to get monitored, be monitored by their doctor. Now, you can be monitored by your doctor anyway. You know, if your doctor's judgmental and, doesn't want to work with your steroid user, well, that's a bad doctor. Find another doctor. They're supposed to treat patients, because if you walk in there and you're an alcoholic or you're a heroin addict, they'll treat you, and they don't judge you for that. They feel sorry for you because you're an addict. It's not your fault. But steroid users, they're still looked at as cheaters, as vain and narcissistic. And honestly, I think a lot of that it's an anti-male movement. It's an anti-men's movement because, like I said, look at all these things that women do all the time, every day. Billions of dollars are spent on breast implants, butt implants, Botox, fillers, lip injections, liposuction, all these things. Because it's okay it's good for a woman to want to look and feel better. Uh, have you used many types, doctor? Yeah, but it's not okay for a man to want to look and feel better. We're not supposed to. We're just supposed to be happy with what we got. It's not cool. It's even in like the medical world, there's a little bit of a bias towards men because women are catered to more as far as healthcare and things like that. Men a lot of times don't go to the doctor. We're feeling bad. We were, here's an example. My late dad died in 1986, and he was generally a healthy guy, but he had just started going to a doctor on a regular basis not long before because it turns out he had high blood pressure. He had a little bit of heart disease, but he had pains in his abdominal area, somewhere around there. He was having a lot of pains for a long time. Didn't say anything to anyone. He finally mentioned it to the doctor, some tests, and he had all kinds of cancer down. He was dead 6 weeks later. 6 weeks. Because he didn't go to the doctor. Because he's a man, and men don't go to the doctor. They just work. He's a guy, he never called in sick. He was a mail carrier for the U.S. Post Office. He worked all kinds of weather. He never called in sick once. If he had a cold, whatever, he went to work. Didn't matter if it was 2 below 0 outside and snowing. He went to work. That's what guys did. My dad was born in 1929. It was a different generation. It was all about working and providing for your family. And he married my mother when she already had 5 kids from a previous marriage and 2 more kids. So he had 7 kids basically to support. So my dad worked his ass off. He worked 6 days a week for the post office, and on Sunday he drove a cab. And when he was feeling those pains, he brushed it off because I don't have time to take a day off work to go see a doctor. Yeah, it hurts. I'll deal with it. And he was dead. So that's unfortunate that as men we're hesitant to seek medical attention even when we need it. But looping around back to what we're talking about, it's really I see this whole steroid use being illegal as an anti-male bias situation because if I think if steroids could do all these things for women, or if there were drugs that could do all these things for women, if they came out with a drug tomorrow that could make women look younger, they didn't have to do Botox or fillers or facelifts. Somehow there was a drug, maybe the Umbrella Corporation could develop it, that would reverse the aging process facially or in any way. I guarantee you, if there was a billions and billions of dollars to be made, that drug would be developed and it would be marketed. And even if it had horrible side effects, I mean, look at every prescription drug commercial on TV. There's fine print, and then you'll even hear them talking about all these horrible side effects. Here's a drug for it's to treat your depression, or it's to treat your hair loss, and these are all these. It's got all kinds of horrible side effects. Things like suicidal thoughts or action, bloody stools, nausea, fatigue, even death. It'll say even death is a side effect. But these things are all being sold in the pharmacy. Big pharma companies are making billions and billions of dollars, even though these drugs are very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. They treat one condition, but they also give you a whole host of other horrible side effects. People who would stop using things like Accutane because of all the other things, all the other bad things it did to them. It cleared up their acne, but man, I believe that was one of those suicide drugs that people on Accutane were sometimes killing themselves. Um, yeah, man, it's a situation. I don't know if it's going to change. I suspect eventually it will because it's all supply and demand, like I said, and there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money to be made. You buy a bottle of test from your dealer, 60, 70, $80. I know some of you guys get cheaper. You don't need to brag. Big pharma, I doubt it would be covered because it wouldn't be like a legitimate need. It would be a cosmetic thing. So they could charge you 100, 150, $200 a bottle if they wanted to. And there's plenty of guys out there who would pay that amount. Absolutely. If it was, that's a legal way to get it. It was through a pharmacy. It was legit drugs, and their doctor's going to monitor on them, monitor their vitals and their blood work, and do all that. They would go for it. So, like I said, there is a growing demand. Men, there's plenty of men that are getting up there in age. They have a lot of money to spend, and they don't want to look and feel old. I mean, a lot of them are going to these anti-aging clinics right now and spending a ton of money on steroids and growth hormone. They would much rather do it through their local doctor, I'm sure, if they could, but they can't for now. But I do believe eventually that will change. Eventually, we'll get to the point where there's such a demand that the pharmacy, big pharma, will see there's a lot of money to be made from these men out there in America and around the world. But we could get that money if we could get steroids legalized. It would be complicated. I understand there's a lot of things that would need to be figured out. Like I said, what kind of steroids would be legally available? How much would you be able to be prescribed at once for certain time periods? That's a lot of stuff that would need to be worked out and figured out. But I really do think gel is 300 for 3 months supply. My work insurance covers 220. Yeah, I mean, I was using Androgel and the price kept going up, and I wasn't. I have insurance Aetna through Costco, my wife's work, and it was still costing me. When I first started getting it, the Androgel, it was like $30 for a pump bottle that would last you a month. Then a few months later, it went up to 40, and then it went up to like 50. I'm like, screw this. This is ridiculous. Like I said, that's legal. That's for TRT purposes, and I suspect the prices kept going up because they could get that money from you, so they raised the prices and people paid it. Anything we got here for questions? People are talking about transgenders. Yeah, transgenders, absolutely. America is definitely catering to certain populations now. Transgenders, who I absolutely have nothing against them. It's if they want to, a man wants to become a woman, he can take all kinds of estrogen. He can get breast implants. He can get butt implants. If a woman decides she identifies as a male, that woman can get on all kinds of testosterone. And you see them eventually, they do look very, very convincingly male. They can grow stubble, their voices get very deep from the testosterone. So those are all legal things. And like I said, women can do all kinds of things legally to change the way they look because that's going to feel better. It's a lot of guys out there they'd feel better about themselves and they'd feel better in general if their bodies were more muscular and leaner. But, they don't have that option legally. Now, I do believe times will change. It's going to all come down to money and supply and demand. And, men are going to be asking more and more about it. And eventually I believe it will be legal. Just like, things like marijuana. Marijuana is slowly becoming legal in every state. Eventually, I believe it will be legal in every state in the U.S. Right now, I think it's almost half the states. It's at least 1/3 of all states. It's legal right here in Massachusetts. But that's it. I just want to make this a quick one because this is something that I find hypocritical. I don't think anyone under 21 should be using steroids. Absolutely not. I do think if you're 21 years and over, you're old enough to go out and buy cigarettes, you're old enough to buy alcohol, things that can destroy your liver, destroy your lungs, kill you. Could steroids eventually kill you, give you heart disease? Yeah, maybe, yeah, sure. You're gonna die anyway. You're gonna die if you smoke 2 packs, 3 packs cigarettes a day. You're gonna die if you drink 20 beers a day or a quart of vodka every day, like a lot of people do, and that's all legal. So, Big Brother's not really watching out for us, in every aspect. They're letting these people kill themselves with alcohol and tobacco, and all kinds of prescription drugs are rampant, because there's money to be made. And Big Pharma has lobbyists in Congress, and so does tobacco industry, and so does the alcohol industry. There's no steroid industry that's lobbying Congress for legalization. But I do believe, one day here in the U.S., that situation will definitely change. Any other questions there? I tried turning the phone sideways and it wasn't working, dude. So I still haven't figured this out. My apologies to everybody if you have to watch this in this portrait mode and it's bothering you. My bad. So thanks, everybody. I hope you're enjoying Black Friday here in the USA. Shopping till you drop, or shopping online on Monday. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. And for the rest of the world, have a great weekend, everybody. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.